All right, we're live. Okay, we're live today. Been a huge weekend for Hawkeye sports. Two women's games. We won 2 women's games, won a men's game, won a soccer game, won a football game. I just would like to briefly touch real quick before we get to everybody's comments and stuff on the Rutgers game about the women's game today. Beating UNI, getting off to a little bit of a slow start, letting UNI hang around for most of the first quarter until they started to assert themselves in the second quarter, and then third quarter basically put the game away. But just for you, Paul, Gabby caught fire today, and 5 for 5 on, not 5 for 5, but 5 3-point shots today. A 2-pointer for 17 points, you know.
She
found her stroke. What's that?
She was 5 for 10. Yep.
Okay. Stokey, guys, I don't know if we can ever keep her out of foul trouble. Are we going to be able to keep her out of foul trouble all year? Look how dangerous she is when she is on the floor. I mean, 16 points, 6 for 9 shooting, 7 boards, 5 assists when she was on the floor.
She does an amazing job of running the floor. It seems like she can be one of the first ladies down the court, and
she's a cheetah. Yeah.
And we do, especially like Caitlin, and they do an amazing job of finding her running down the court. So
yeah, Caitlin had a little trouble. Yeah, go ahead, Jason. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just gonna say she'll be fine. She's not used to playing the 5. It wasn't even anticipated that she was going to play the 5. Everybody thought she would play the 4. So, and she played the 5 against Virginia Tech, and she still looked good, right? She was beating Virginia Tech down the court.
Right.
She's just going to average more points per minute is all. Per minute.
Yeah, there you go.
I think she'll get better. I mean, she's only a sophomore. She's still learning to be a starter, right? So
right.
And playing the 5 position, she's battling with big girls down low playing the 5. So
right, yeah,
that is going to.
So today, their 3-point shooting had been in the 20% range. You know,
yeah.
They upped it to 40.7 today because Gabby was on fire.
Yeah,
Gabby. I knew once Gabby got going, that would change. I said that yesterday.
They were 3 for 16 in the first half.
Yeah,
and then they caught fire in the second half.
Yeah, that third quarter basically that wrapped up the game. It pretty much put it in Iowa's favor.
Yeah, they toyed with them. Even in the first quarter, Iowa was up 20-7 with that. Iowa scored 20 points in the first 5 minutes of the first quarter. Yeah, it was 20-7. I mean, it was.
And it's worth pointing out these last 2 games. I mean, UNI is not a bad program, right? I mean, they're a solid mid-major.
They're picked to win the Missouri Valley.
And then Virginia Tech was Final Four,
yeah.
Top 10 team. And neither one of those games was in the friendly confines of Carver Hawkeye Arena. So,
right.
I mean, that makes those 2 wins even more impressive. And coming off that win against Virginia Tech, the quick turnaround, road game, man.
They win by 40. They beat the team that's supposed to win the Missouri Valley by 40. 2-0. UNI looked good too. I mean, they were looking good until they played Iowa. Both of our basketball teams, because they're so that the men just have a starting freshman, they almost have their own Fab 4, right? It's amazing how good Iowa's freshmen are on the men's side. On the women's side, they're bringing up these youngsters, but with Caitlin, and then with the other 2 with Clark, with Gabby and Martin, right? Yeah. I mean, the women are going to be amazing. I think they could easily be number 1, coming tomorrow. However, with South Carolina, I don't know if they'll probably put South Carolina, because South Carolina was whining at the beginning of the year that they were picked 6th. They're like, we're not a 6th team. Like, they were whining and crying about that. So they may move them to number 1. But
wrestling aside, when was the last time an Iowa sport was ranked number 1? I mean, in the country, do you have to go back to the 85 Iowa football team?
No, I think we've been ranked number 1 since then.
Yeah,
Nope.
in basketball, they were number 1 in 1987.
87. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the last time I remember Iowa being number 1. That 1987 men's basketball team with Dr. Tom, which it might have been Dr. Tom's first year at Iowa.
Was that like Ed Horton and B.J. Armstrong and?
Yeah, with God, yeah, I can't.
Roy Marble.
Roy Marble. That's the one I was trying to think. I was like, how the hell can I not think of Roy Marble?
Was it Ed Horton? Was the other the three-headed monster?
Yeah.
Was it Ed Horton or somebody else?
BJ.
That sounds right.
I have a buddy who's a huge men's basketball fan for Iowa that would be able to tell us the whole starting lineup of that year. He's going to be so mad. I can't even think of the players.
Did we have like a lacrosse team or something that was ranked number 1?
Our field hockey team was number 1 for a little while this year.
Okay.
And I mean, we've had good women's teams of that caliber with the field hockey. Like they were one of the top field hockey teams. So if we go beyond the scale of the big sports,
right?
I mean, they had a great track and field team for a while.
True.
I'm not sure they ranked the track and field. I don't know how that.
I think we had a pretty good gymnastics team at one point. I don't know how good, but I thought we.
I mean, you could. You're getting to a realm that I don't really know, but I just know that, like, as far as the big time sports, unless the women of 1993 were, which I don't think they were number 1, but they were extremely good. Other than that, I think 87 men's basketball was the last time they were number 1. I mean, Iowa football was number 2 in 2021.
Right.
Yeah. Casey, I would also like to point out that UConn also lost, and they were the number 2 team, so it's a possibility. We'll have to wait and see when the rankings come out. So
LSU, yeah, UConn lost 2, but South Carolina beat Maryland by 50.
Oh God.
Yeah.
How much? We beat Virginia Tech. They're higher ranked than Maryland, right?
Well, Maryland's 14th, but Iowa played with Maryland. Like, that was a good game.
Yeah.
South Carolina beat number 14 Maryland by 50. Like, that wasn't
even. But, was it on a home court or neutral court? Or
it was I think it was at South Carolina.
Let's see. I don't know, on a neutral court or whatever, that matters a little.
I would think.
Maybe.
I hope they just, because of Caitlin, I hope they just make the women number 1.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole world or the whole country loves Caitlin, right? Everywhere she goes, the stadium sells out.
She's a rock star.
Yeah. She's like
you see that UNI sold out in an hour for that game.
Yeah.
Incredible.
They 8,000 seats, I think, and it sold out.
Iowa should be number 1 until they lose it, if not for that reason alone. Selling out everybody else's arenas.
Like showing what women's basketball can be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time not too long ago where there was nobody going to women's basketball games.
Right.
And now the stadiums are selling out. And nobody wants to admit why. Because at Nebraska, they sold out when Iowa played at Nebraska last year. And everybody starts, it's because even though they don't sell out women's basketball games at Nebraska. They didn't want to admit the reason why that they sold out for that game.
Okay, guys, let's move on to our football. Guys are putting up things. Before we get started with the Rutgers, Jared pointed out something that I'd already figured out. Some firings happening over the weekend. We lost a head coach at Texas A&M. Penn State fired the offensive coordinator. And the defensive coordinator at USC was fired. We probably saw that one coming anyway. But offensive coordinator at Penn State, they just ran into a good Michigan team.
Yeah. And, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it wouldn't be shocking if Florida ends up firing their coach. I mean, they may or may not become bowl eligible. They still have to play Florida State, and I don't know who they play this week. But I mean.
Yeah, it's just the cool thing to do now. It's dumb.
Yeah. Let's just show Iowa how it's done. Let's just start firing coaches in mid-season.
Yeah. The difference is that at all these other schools, the coach has to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not coaching again.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Brian is, we're letting him finish out the season.
I'm glad they're letting him finish out the season, but I'll probably get yelled at for that by everybody for saying I'm glad that they're allowing Brian to finish the season.
I don't think they should have let him go yet anyway. It was too much of a distraction. Right. Although maybe it just pissed the players off, and now look what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? But it's all up to Deacon. I mean, if Hill continues to play as good as he did, good God. He completed 20 of 31, but there were so many open receivers. He could probably have been 29 of 31. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was insane. Like the first quarter, he missed. You guys weren't able to watch. He missed wide open receivers. That was like, it had me going, well, we're going to see LaBosse. This is terrible. And then the last drive of the first half, which you guys had to have saw.
We saw. No, we only missed about 5 minutes of the game.
And there was 8 minutes left in the first quarter when the action came because I started doing a rewatch.
Okay, yeah.
So then Deacon all of a sudden became like he was moving in the pocket, throwing rifles up the middle right in front of him. Like those receivers right in front of him is what he should take when they're wide open. It's easy. Just dump it off to him. All of a sudden out of nowhere, then he just starts throwing darts out the Williams, and then he threw a dart to Brown. Then he hit Seth Anderson on the sail route. Like it was like, and I'm sitting there going, where was it? I mean, what? How does this just all of a sudden start? Why didn't we start the game like this? I mean, everybody's blaming Brian, but this whole game there were open receivers everywhere. Literally, Regini, like normal, was open the whole game. Brown, like I texted you guys before the game, remember that it sounded like Brown is finally figuring it out that he was going to, come out and do great. He did exactly what I was told was going to happen. He came out and he was great.
Yeah. Well, Kirk had mentioned during his post Rutgers press conference earlier in the week that Brown was going to play a bigger role from here on out.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Well, how hurt is what's his face? The I can't think of the one wide receiver.
Vines?
Vines, yeah.
I don't think he's too bad.
Okay.
Because he tried to go. Like
okay.
he was out there running around in pregame.
Mm-hmm.
It just he didn't go. So I don't think it's probably a day-to-day thing for Vines. But like I said before the game, also to some people, I talked a lot about this actually. Missing those tight ends it's going to help Iowa in a way to where they have to use the speed at receiver now.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they actually used a lot of 3 wide receiver sets in pregame, but it was almost like they were showing off before the actual, when end game, they did a lot of 2 tight ends with 2 wide receivers. They did that same formation with the 2 tight. No, they were an I formation with the fullback, but they had Hayden Large, number 88, it looks like a tight end.
Right.
So they were using 2 wide receivers and a tight end with a fullback. I mean, a lot of this game, right? And it was working. Like Hayden Large is a blocker. He was a blocking fool for the running backs. I mean, it was just but as long as Deacon completes those passes, they can't put 8 guys in the box.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see Brown get the ball more on those fly sweeps. Oh God, those fly sweeps are open. Mm-hmm. There were so many times where they do the fake fly sweep, right? And they don't give it to him, but he only gives it to him once every 10, 15 times he runs that. So then nobody takes the fly sweep.
Right. I mean, so speaking of the fly sweep, they got to do something more with Wetchin. I can't even say the name right. Other than just doing fly sweeps, because everybody knows that when he goes in, that's what's coming. And, of course, he lost on 2 yards on that play. The only time they did it.
He had a touchdown. I was rooting for him until that play. He had a touchdown. It had nothing to do with the defense. He tripped over his shoestring.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, there was nobody around him. He could have scored. All he had, and that's probably why he tripped over his shoestring, because all he had to do was cut with his right foot, and he scores.
Oh, so he got excited when he saw that open lane.
Yeah, and he tripped. He lost 4 yards, actually, I believe.
Okay.
He got killed on it. I don't know why he give it to Reggie.
That's kind of a byproduct of not getting these guys enough touches, right? I mean, the one time Weechin actually touches the football, it's like, he's not into the flow of the game.
Yeah, but you got to be able to just come in and do your role.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, they can't. They brought him in because they're using Seth Anderson and they're using Reganey and they're using Brown now. So Wetjen, when he gets his opportunities, he has to take them.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a touchdown walking in. Like it was, he cuts inside and just goes the next 10 yards, whatever it would have been. It was down inside the red zone. He scores. So yeah, you're right in a way, Paul, but you also have to take advantage when you're not a starter.
Right.
Like I see that when if you'd say it with people who get fly sweeps, and then you're like, well, why don't we do it enough? But with Wetjen, he knows he's a backup. He knows that he has to keep his wits about him because he has to prove it. Had he scored a touchdown on that, maybe he gets more fly sweeps.
Right.
And he's the fastest guy on the team. Like if he legit just cuts up like that and runs through, those guys are not going to catch him if he gets loose.
All the more reason that you get these guys involved early, get them into the flow of the game. You know, there's kind of that cliche too sometimes about quarterbacks, right? That sometimes they settle in after taking that first hit.
Yeah.
You know, and so, I mean, it's just one of the, if you get one touch for the whole game and then it's like, you know, we never see you again for 6 weeks. It's just, you know.
Right. But when you're not a starter, though, I mean, the reason why Wetjen was in there is because the game was out of reach. Right. That was all touchdown.
If Vines is healthy, we probably don't see him.
Valid point.
That is probably true. That's probably true.
That's a valid point. But see, that's my point when you're not a starter, where you have to keep your wits about you even more than the starters, right? Because when you come in, you got to prove something that obviously the coaches don't see in practice, right? You got to do something in the game where it makes the coach go, oh, wow. So, yeah, I was rooting for him, I saw him coming across, and I was like, oh, here we go. Just give it to him. Like I kept saying it because it's been open the whole game. Like even with Brown, they did so many fakes with Brown. I was like, just give it to it. Because there was a 3rd and 2 where the fly sweep was wide open and they faked it and it ended up being 4th and 1, you know, because the running back they did a fake fly sweep up the middle when nobody took the fly sweep guy. I'm like, is there anybody up there telling Brian, nobody's taking the fly sweep guy? Let's just do it until somebody decides they want to take the fly sweep.
There you go. Yeah, so, guys, more importantly, Iowa won the game. Minnesota lost.
400 yards of offense is pretty important to some.
Yeah.
Right. The shutout's nice, too.
What?
The shutout was nice, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Guys, do you realize how many points? And, you know, I know that people look at the first half and think that what didn't go well because of the first half ended up 3-0. But you guys realize that we left 10 possible points on the field in the first half?
Easily.
This game could have been 32-0. And and honestly, I don't think we would have gone for the 2-point conversion had we scored those 10 points in the first quarter or the first half.
Needed to.
Yeah.
The only reason they did it was because of angleistics. What is it? Somebody help me. What's it called? I can't think.
Analytics?
Analytics. God, did you hear me? Like I said, angelytics or whatever.
Yeah.
I was trying to process it too. I'm like, what might he be talking about?
You're like, what are you talking about? No,
Looks like my wife today trying to pronounce a word, and I said, well, I know how to pronounce it, but now that you pronounce it that way, I can't get it out of my head and say it right.
Yeah, I don't. Sometimes my brain just backfires. I was having.
You're now on their angelytics.
There you go. Right.
There you go.
But that's why they went for 2 to go up by 14. Right.
Right. Okay.
That was the only reason.
Yeah.
I had a banana tailpipe. I had to get it out real quick. So.
Yeah. More importantly, what Jared says here, we are guaranteed at least a share of the West title, but to go to the championship game, we need 1 win. All we need is 1 win, baby.
One more win out of the next.
Yeah. And I was kind of scared of Illinois, but then I looked back at their last 2 games. Okay. You know, they had to go to overtime to beat Indiana, and Indiana scored a lot of points on them.
Yeah.
You know, and what happened to the Illinois defense? You know, have they gone to sleep? Because, you know, I realize our offense isn't, you know, made to go up and down the field and score points like Indiana did yesterday. But certainly if Indiana can score those kind of points on Illinois, we should be able to move the ball and score a few points, right?
Well,
And our defense should be able to hold them because Indiana's defense was crap too.
No, yeah. I mean, like I told you, my glass is half full, buddy. I just don't know. I don't know how anybody can be negative on this team. When your defense plays as good as they do, all you have to do is play the field position game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every moment, I don't care what people say about the punt return. Yes, they did only have 4 yards, but every moment in that 60-minute period counts towards a victory.
Right.
Of course, if Deacon completes passes in that game like he did yesterday, of course Iowa dominates Minnesota, right? But it didn't happen. But what did happen is we had a punt return, right? So every moment of that 60 minutes counts.
Unless it doesn't, unless they review it and take it away after the fact.
Yeah, right. I mean, there was no flag, nothing. All of a sudden, oh, we're going to review it. We got to see if he stepped out of bounds. Oh, wait, that was an invalid fair catch. We'll go to the playoffs. This is the moment they did that. Because now, even if something happens in the Big Ten championship game where Iowa upsets do happen, right? Iowa's done it before. If Iowa goes 11-2, they're not going to be in the playoff because of that damn punt return, right?
Mm-hmm.
To do something so Iowa's not in the playoffs because they don't want that offense. Like I said before, it's turned into almost like the WWE wrestling where the conferences are going to just do things, or the country will do things because they don't want to see certain teams just because of the style, because they want to sell tickets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though it doesn't matter what Iowa's offense looks like, they're going to travel to a playoff game.
Yeah.
That's what Iowa does.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
But anyway, that's why they did that in my conspiracy opinion.
Yeah. Well, Deacon plays his best game of the year. He got over 200 yards passing. Guys, I asked this yesterday in the group chat. Nobody either saw it or nobody knows the answer. When was the last time an Iowa quarterback threw for over 200 yards?
That had to be Nate Stanley. Or wait, no, did Peters do it against Maryland?
Yes.
I thought the defense scored all the points in the Maryland win. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I remember an 80-yard touchdown pass by Peters to Goodson against Maryland.
I think Peters might have also thrown for 200 against like Penn State or Illinois in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
That's possible.
Yeah.
We did it. He might have done it a couple times in 2020.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And so another thing that these guys have pointed out that Rutgers has a nationally ranked defensive teams scoring wise. So to score 22 points on them and come close on others,
and have
like a missed field goal. That's pretty good, guys. I think our offense is starting to click a little bit.
Well,
we got to pump the brakes on it because Deacon just has to be consistent, right? We see that he has it. This could easily be the whole Ohio State game where Iowa went off, and then the very next week they had 100 yards of offense or whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this could easily, because there's going to be open receivers against Illinois, but Deacon has to hit them, right? It all comes down to the quarterback in this particular offense.
The other thing to keep in mind with Rutgers and their defense, remember they had the Big Ten's leading rusher. They play complementary football very much like Iowa does. And a big part of their nationally ranked defense is the fact that against most of the other teams they played, they had a lot of success running the football, keeping the other offenses off the field. Iowa held them to 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 4 and out, 3 and out. And, you know, their defense, Iowa almost doubled them in time of possession. So,
yeah, 38. That was almost, they need one more game like this, and the Penn State game will be deleted as far as time of possession.
Yeah.
Almost did the same time of possession thing that Penn State did, but they were off by 10 minutes because I think Iowa only had the ball for 10 minutes or 12 minutes.
Yeah, it was definitely our worst offensive performance of the year.
Well, yeah, by far.
Okay.
But,
And defensive performance too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Now I know what you were talking about. South Carolina coach was calling racial disparities on NCAA. South Carolina, Iowa Final Four game. Absolutely sad that this goes on still in college sports. I would agree, South Bend.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I was kind of scrolling ahead to see if anything fit that what we're talking about. Okay. All right. Hold back on praising UM. Is that Michigan?
yeah, probably.
Okay. And their 10 wins come against teams with a 34-45 combined overall. Well, that's true, but is that their fault? At least they're destroying those teams.
Right.
They're winning by like no less than 24 points a game, I believe. Plus 24, right?
Except yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even yesterday, I mean, Penn State's offense was non-existent for most of the.
It was 24-17, I believe, the final in that area anyway.
I think Penn State got a score late that made it,
respectable.
Yeah, made it look closer than it really was, and that was at Penn State.
But to go back to what South Bend was saying, oh right, it was at Penn State too. But that's why Michigan is down on the list and Ohio State is number one. It's because of strength of schedule. Ohio State has the top 20 strength of schedule, and Michigan's like at the bottom. Penn State's going to help it, obviously, right?
Right.
But they're down at like 40 or something. They're down there with Iowa. I think they're actually below Iowa as far as strength of schedule. But Penn State might jump them up a little bit.
Kelvin says in Iowa we didn't miss any of the game on BTN. That's probably because you had a carrier who actually has the alternative Big Ten channels because Yahoo, not Yahoo. YouTube TV does not have the alternative channels.
No.
Unless it's pre-planned. There was a time when they did have the alternative channels, but it was already scheduled that way.
Right.
So YouTube just couldn't manufacture that for us yesterday.
It was disappointing. I was almost doing backflips because I was so glad though. And Coach, I guess you didn't really, because you were at the game.
Right.
When that Illinois game went into overtime, Indiana gets the field goal. Illinois got a touchdown like 2 plays later, and we still didn't even get to the Iowa game until there was 8.5 minutes left in the first quarter. It was like, and you know how those things could have gone, 4 or 5 rounds of overtime. I would have just been pissed.
Yeah, I would have been with you. I could sense it through my text messages though. One of you guys cussed it through the chat and said it's going into overtime. Actually, I think Kelvin did as well.
Yeah.
Kelvin said, well, he didn't get mad, but he sent me a message saying that the game is going into overtime. I believe he did.
Oh, yeah. All of us did. All of us did. We were all mad. It's like, don't make that 2-point conversion. Miss it. Drop it. Whatever you got to do. Just don't make it.
Yeah, happy Veterans Day. Are you a veteran, Jared?
I am.
I know you are, Paul. I already said happy Veterans Day. You're a stupid Navy man.
That's
my family's Army, so I root for Army.
There we go.
I'm a Navy man.
Well, I obviously root for Navy men, just not the Navy football team when they're playing Army.
It's okay, Coach. You can root for Navy men.
There's a reason they have a special person in place now to recruit men of the Navy. If you know what I mean.
Uh-huh.
You do?
Oh. Yeah.
I'm sure, Paul, there is a thing about Navy sailors, but I won't say it on live.
I've heard something about submariners, but anywho,
yeah,
it stays.
I think Kalen Brown stays now, and he will be a superstar. Jason, glad you were there in person. I think your perspective is really helping us because when you're able to see the whole field, unlike we aren't on TV, your perspective of the whole game changes a little bit, right?
Yeah, my son and I, we have a lot of fun. We actually like being behind the defense, right? Or behind the offense. So I like sitting in the end zone and up a little higher. So when they're going away from me, I can legit see everything, right?
You get that all 22 view.
And then when they come at me, I can see what the defense is doing better, and I can get a gauge on what the quarterback's looking at. I can see where he's looking. So my son and I, we both love whatever end zones and up a little bit, so you could see everything going. My favorite is when they're going away, so I can see the receivers and everything, like the quarterback sees it, right? But even when they're coming at me, I can see what the defense is lining up, and then I can see what receivers are open.
Is that where you were yesterday, end zone?
Yes, that's where we like to sit.
Okay.
That's
were those tickets available to you on the open market? I mean, how did you? I mean, with the season being sold out, I just wondered.
You have to ask the wife.
She got them for you?
Yeah. The wife. Yeah, I don't. She's really good at all that stuff. Like her and my oldest boy, the one that came to the game with me. They're going to go to Cody Johnson's concert on Friday night next week. So, or this.
I don't even know who Cody Johnson is, so you got one up on me.
How the hell do you not know who Cody Johnson is?
I guess who is he?
He's a country singer.
Okay. Yes, Jared's a Navy guy. So there you got your answer.
Go
as long as we're on the vets. God bless all the vets. There we go.
Amen.
All right, I'm going to try to find some more relevant comments again.
Well, do you have a show to run, or are we just going to let the insane people run the asylum?
Well, I think we covered a lot of what we wanted to. I mean, on the game, we've talked about some of the errant passes. We've talked about the bad first half compared to the second good half. Actually, the second quarter really started to come alive.
The end of the second quarter, yeah.
Brian has done his homework for us, guys.
Yes, I knew that. I forgot. I did a video on that last year. I forgot about that. That's when I was saying the same stuff I'm saying now about Hill. I was saying that about Petrus. I did a video on that. I forgot about that Michigan game.
Apparently, he also did it against Minnesota.
There you go.
Last year?
Buddies. No,
yeah. He said 22.
Oh.
11, 19, 22. Petrus has 221 yards against Minnesota.
Nice. I did a video on the Michigan game, though, because Petrus looked good in the Michigan game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think they only lost. It was going to be they were going to be within one score, but Petrus threw it a yard too short away from the receiver, so he didn't have the momentum. You remember that down by the goal line? I believe it was Laporte he threw to, but he didn't throw it in a position for him to catch it and get the first. He threw it behind the line of scrimmage in the wrong direction.
I think Missouri would be a tough matchup for Iowa. But
are they playing pretty well this year?
Yeah, they just destroyed Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm not
35-7. I mean,
but it's taken them a while to become accustomed to the SEC, but now they're there, huh? Finally destroying teams.
Yeah, they got a new coach.
If Iowa wins out in the regular season and plays well in the Big Ten championship game but comes up a little short, can a 3-loss team find its way into a New Year's Six bowl game?
Yeah.
Is that possible? I mean, I don't know.
A 10-3 team could go to a January 6th bowl.
Yeah.
It'll just have to depend on who's going to want them to come. Like I said, because of the offense, a lot of people don't want it because they're afraid they won't sell the tickets.
Yeah. See, guys, I think the only way that happens is both Ohio State and Michigan have to get in the playoffs. Penn State won't be in the playoffs, but they'll certainly on the verge of getting a New Year's Six bowl game.
They have to win out at this point, and I don't know where they're at mentally.
Yeah,
they just fired their offensive coordinator, right? So,
right. So I mean, yeah, 10-3 school can. I mean, it's very possible.
By the way, I was watching that Penn State Michigan game, and their fans were just straight booing their offense, straight booing it. Like,
right.
What's with us fans? Can't we just accept what our team is putting out there and enjoy it?
And their quarterback has 20 touchdowns to 1 pick.
Right.
Before the Michigan game. I have no idea what he did in the Michigan game. That was before Michigan.
He threw at least one interception that I recall.
He did. Okay, so he's 22.
But at the same time, I want to say the pick that he threw was fairly late in the game. They did wind up getting kind of a trash time score. Penn State did, because it was, I think, a 15-point game with like 3 minutes left.
Oh, hey Jared, that's because Rutgers' offensive coordinator has the Matt Campbell syndrome. My son and I were watching, thinking the same thing. Holy cow! If they just did not throw the stupid football, move the ball on Iowa. And
they weren't patient, were they?
They weren't patient. They were patient on the opening drive a little bit. They did beat 27. His name's escaping me. God, my brain is on. Yeah. But
are you surprised their quarterback didn't run more? I think he ran.
That's where I was headed. When you know how all of their run plays, every one of them to the running back, it was like the zone read, right? It was like this, and then the quarterback would. There was so many times, and I don't know where their offense coordinator sits. Maybe he didn't see it. No one told him. That quarterback was wide open. Nobody took the quarterback. And they did not run that ball one time. They ran 2 quarterback powers. That was those were the 2 dumbest calls of the night. He didn't gain a yard on either one of them. They didn't do it one time where the quarterback keeps it. Their quarterback runs a 4.40. All he has to do is run around the outside. And not one time. And teams do this to Iowa. It's the strangest thing. They do what Iowa wants them to do, right? I mean, you would think they would have learned from the Utah State game. Remember that first half of the Utah State game? Remember Dean just flipping out? We could not stop Utah State on the quarterback runs.
And the dink and dunk passes. They were throwing short, quick passes. We couldn't get any pass rush because the ball was gone.
Yeah, and they would run the quarterback, and we would always go with the running back.
Right.
Their quarterback in the first half probably had 50 yards rushing. And we could not stop because their guys would not. But in the second half, obviously, Parker did his adjustments, and they could not do that quarterback run again. He got killed. But in that first half, like they had nothing for it. Rutgers didn't run that one time. And my son and I kept saying, they're setting this up, man. Right here. They're setting this up. No one's taking the quarterback. You've done this play so many times. And we complain about Iowa's offense running the same play over and over.
By the way,
the opposite of it.
I have to admit I was wrong because in previous podcasts I had said Iowa has to get rid of that empty formation that it does not work for us. We can't block, and then whatever. Empty was big for us yesterday.
Yeah, I love that formation. You and I had a conversation about the empty, remember?
Yes. And I was not a fan of Iowa running it because I like Iowa having the threat of run
right
in the backfield and that extra blocker or a release valve for the quarterback. But
the thing with the empty, though, as a quarterback, you can see everything, right? It's just you. It's just you. So you can see it. And I think he almost completed every time a pass. And one of them that I remember was a first down to a tight end. And one of them was a first down to Williams, where he actually looked off the defender and then turned and fired it over to Williams out in the flat, and Williams got a first down on that. And the only thing I can't remember is if that pass to Seth Anderson on the sail route, if that was an empty or not. But it should have been. I think because Seth Anderson.
Yeah. True or false, Coach? Empty sort of forces the defense to declare their intentions pre-snap, right? Like they can't disguise as much of their coverages or where a blitz may be coming from because
you're spreading them out. You're right. You have to show it, and the only way to know it for sure is, which is what I would do, is bring a man in motion, because then you know if it's man or zone. Even if you bring a man across and then take him back out, if nobody comes with him, they're in zone, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that's the only thing I would add to it is some motion, but you and I discussed that before too, on how much motion actually helps the quarterback as well. So, but you're right. You can't really disguise a whole lot when you go out and empty, and the quarterback can see everything.
And if you've got a quarterback who doesn't have a ton of experience, like we have now with Deacon, it gives him less to process pre-snap, right? Because now he doesn't have to, again, the blitz could be coming from the left or the right or whatever, And
that's the same with Petras. Petras was very good in empty as well. And as long as Brian gets him to the line of scrimmage with 15 seconds, right, on the play clock, so he can legit look around and just see everything, right? You have time to literally see what the defense is doing. On this question with Cody, I want Ohio State. I don't want Michigan. I think Iowa can move the ball on Ohio State. I think Iowa can stop Ohio State. If you watched Ohio State Rutgers, that kind of showed me a lot, because like Paul said earlier, Rutgers pretty much plays Kirk Ferentz style. It's just the offense is different, right? They're still slow moving. They still want to run the football. They still want to do everything Kirk does with the philosophy. And if it wasn't for a couple pick six in that game, right before half, Deacon threw a pick right before half. Rutgers was getting ready to tie the game right before half, and their quarterback threw a pick six. Thank God Deacon didn't throw a pick six. He just threw the pick. So if Rutgers quarterback doesn't throw a pick six against Ohio State, that game is really close, right? So just think they held Ohio State's offense to 28 points. And Iowa scored 22, and they could have scored more.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I want Ohio State. They have some kinks in their armor. They have one guy, and Iowa can confuse the hell out of Ohio State's quarterback, right? Because basically what he does now is he just throws it up to freaking Harrison, right? Even if he gets caught into a moment of mental lapse, he just throws it up to Harrison. So I think that's the perfect formula for Phil Parker defense.
Is there any value in the fact that we have Cade McNamara and Eric Hall and Caleb Brown for either one of those teams, where we might be able to get a little insight into different things? Obviously not signals or anything like that, but just as far as this is what Michigan likes to do out of this formation, or this is what, how Ohio State is coaching to do, whatever.
I mean, with Cade, there's probably a little bit definitely with Cade, because Cade's going to know a little bit more about everything. I'm not sure how much Eric All would know other than what his responsibilities were and stuff. But Cade, yeah, Caleb Brown, probably not, because he just struggles in that area. There's a reason we haven't seen him much until now, right? He's got it figured out now, which is the most important thing, right?
Okay. South Bend says that they've allowed 48 points, and Michigan has allowed 46 points to common opponents. And so I don't know which is better, 48 or 46.
I'm only going off of what I saw in the Rutgers game and the style of play.
Yeah.
And I think Iowa's defense is better than Rutgers. And the offense is kind of – I don't think Iowa will throw a pick six. I think Iowa will – if Hill can continue to improve and just not turn the ball over, I think Iowa could beat Ohio State this year without turning the ball over. Because Rutgers had a real shot without turning the ball over.
You kind of got to feel bad for the Rutgers program. I mean, the Big Ten just hammered them with a schedule that's just, oof.
With the West teams they've had to play. They played Wisconsin and Iowa, and obviously they got to play the Big Three.
Right. And it's almost like ducks in a row. It was like Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa. Like they went through about a 5-game stretch here.
Well, they got Penn State next week, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Who does?
Rutgers.
Okay. And so, speaking of which, let's just talk about a little bit about next week. Who's got who? Minnesota has Ohio State. That's a loss. Nebraska has Wisconsin, but is it at Wisconsin or at Nebraska? I don't know.
It's got to be at Wisconsin.
Okay. The fact that they lost 13-10 to Maryland. Number one, I didn't know Maryland had that kind of defense. Number two, I think Maryland was more of an offensive-minded team.
They are.
Yeah.
So what happened in that game? Anybody know?
The game was at Nebraska.
Go ahead, Paul.
The game was at Nebraska, and right now, they have a NFL head coach in Matt Rule who's trying to win the same way we're trying to win, the same way Rutgers is trying to win. They're challenged offensively, and so they're trying to rely on defense, special teams, and do just enough. I think they're on their third or fourth quarterback at this point.
Third, Chubba Purdy was playing.
Okay, so
Sims sucks. Sims threw 2 picks. They had 5 turnovers, Dean. But this is what I've been trying to explain to all the people who are afraid of these West teams coming in. Nebraska plays defense. So what do you expect out of Maryland? Defense will win over offense almost 80-90% of the time.
So we're probably looking at when Iowa, Nebraska get together like another 10-7 type game.
Bet the under. Bet the under.
Yeah, bet the under. You mean like that guy told me easy money Friday night at the soccer game?
What we need to do, all of us put our money together, sell our houses, sell the farm, and put all the money on the under for that game because it's going to just like at the Iowa game. This was kind of funny, right? I was on the 5-yard line. If they score a touchdown, they hit the over.
Right.
But they took the knee and everything and kneeled out the clock, and everybody was like, well, Iowa respects the under. We know everybody next to the under. Iowa respects the under. I mean, I don't know how many weeks in a row now the under has hit.
Yeah.
It's
It didn't hit this week, did it?
Yeah. That's what I was just telling the
story. I think the under was like 27.5.
Oh, okay, got it.
Which was already like the lowest ever. And we still went under.
But it was because of Kirk's style, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some schools, some teams would go ahead and try to score there, but with their backups maybe, right? Let them run a normal play. But with Kirk, he takes a knee a couple times and he goes like, no, we want to keep the under. We got to keep everybody betting the under.
But by the way, Michigan didn't throw a pass in the second half against Penn State.
Yeah.
And
I knew that. I knew that because I saw the quarterback's totals, his stat line, and I thought he didn't throw the ball much at all.
No.
And
another reason I don't want to play Michigan. Respectfully, Michigan is the best team. I don't think it's really close. I think as long as those kids can stay motivated with this Harbaugh issue, I think they go in and they beat Ohio State. And I think Iowa ends up playing Michigan.
Well, and because Penn State couldn't throw the football, they tried to run it a bunch too, and Michigan didn't throw passes again from like the 10-minute or the 8-minute mark or something in the second quarter. Like it was, that has to go down as the fastest game ever on Fox. I mean, like that game was over. There was still 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter of the Illinois-Indiana game. Because they got over a turnover the Big Ten. I'm like, they've got to be like, no, the fourth quarter was just starting. I was like, you got to be kidding.
Yeah, the wrong game was on the Big Ten Network for everybody. But, yeah, I mean, I think they told me it was 31 straight runs. Maybe Kelvin knows for a fact. Maybe, I don't know. But, yeah, I did hear that it was like something like 31 straight runs for Michigan. That's just crazy. That's nuts. That's just something I don't want. Their defense is too darn good. I mean, it's just, I mean, the way they shut down Penn State, right? I mean, no, I want Ohio State, but deep down, I'm not sure Ohio State can beat Michigan unless all the drama just gets to the kids. They're tired of everybody messing with their coach. The coaches can't cry. Like, did you see Michigan's coach cry?
Oh, Lord.
I mean, come on.
Hey, cussing. He was swearing.
Yeah.
Dropping F-bombs.
You mean the one that was covering for...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to help you, coach.
This is for coach. This is for your ball.
Yeah.
I
No.
have to love you guys.
He's going to find a way to keep those kids like fired up and actually keep them pissed off, right? Mm-hmm. Keep them mad. Let's do this for coach. You know how all sports do some shenanigans like that, right? Mm-hmm. Like win this one for the Gipper type of situation, right? Screw the Big Ten. We're going to go win this thing despite the Big Ten, like a Major League. You ever seen the movie Major League? We're going to have to go with the owner who sucks. We're going to have to go win the whole darn thing. They're going to have to do something like that. Mm-hmm. If he's out there whining and crying and, I mean, God, and those kids start feeling sorry for themselves. The only way I see Michigan falls is if it's a scenario because they're 18 to 22-year-old kids, right? I mean, they're emotional as hell. We all know. We all been through that. So they got to just stay angry, pissed off at everything, and then they're going to have to just play football. Otherwise, I hope Ohio State bites them. That's all I can say because I do not want to play Michigan again. I don't.
Let's talk about this. Iowa's the only West team so far to be bowl eligible. Who else is going to become bowl eligible? Will Nebraska this week?
They have 5 teams that are probably going to be bowl eligible.
Well, they're going to start playing each other too, so somebody's going to not get there.
No, next week 2 of them for sure will be there because 4 teams play each other.
Right. So between Wisconsin and Nebraska,
right?
Is it better to have Nebraska win this game and be bowl eligible before we play them, so then they don't have the extra motivation to become bowl eligible against us?
I don't worry about stuff like that. I just don't want Nebraska to be bowl eligible again.
Right.
I find it.
Yes. Yeah, I posed that same question on the Facebook, and that somebody gave me that exact answer.
Yeah, I don't want them to be bowl eligible. For me, it's more fun to be in Nebraska when Nebraska's not bowl eligible. So I don't look at it that way because I want Iowa to want it just as much as Nebraska, right? I want Iowa to want to finish the season 10-2 just as much as Nebraska wants to be bowl eligible. And
I'm sure their fans are just begging for 6-6.
Yes. They're want a bowl game.
It's been a long time since they've got that extra game.
Yeah. They haven't had those extra practices for about 6 years?
Yeah.
Years?
Obama was still president the last time they were in a bowl game. So
must have been early in Obama's career.
This week it's on is it the Iowa game? Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I'm going to have to watch that in Oklahoma because that's where I'll be. Hopefully I can find it on a TV so I don't have to watch it on my cell phone.
FS1's easy. Any place will have FS1.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's on every major cable provider, Direct TV, whatever.
FS1 is. I have FS2.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah.
I don't know if everybody does, but I do.
I do.
And
But
Dean, if you can get somewhere with a smartphone, you can sign in with your YouTube TV account and watch it on any smart TV.
Oh, just cast it.
You could do it that way too.
Or you could do it that way too. Yeah, but you could sign in to wherever you're at if it's got TV.
I know. My YouTube TV follows me on my cell phone.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean,
but I have to switch every time I go to a new location. I have to switch it to that location, so I only get that local news channels.
Yeah. What it did to me in Iowa City, because obviously when I was at the game, I had before the game starts, because I always have to be. It drives my wife crazy, but I always have to be there early. I just love being there and looking around. You know that scene in Rudy where the dad walks up the stairs, and he looks around saying, "This is the greatest thing my eyes have ever seen."
That's it.
I truly, and it doesn't matter how many times I've been there, I feel that way. I look around, and now with the technology, I take that picture, of the whole. I absolutely love. I love Iowa City in general.
I do too. I do too.
Love.
You know what you don't get on TV, that you get in person, is that glare that comes off like the helmets. I'm talking about, like especially under the lights, and it's just, it's different. It's different being there.
It is. It's amazing, and hopefully, I want to get to another game. Maybe I can get to the Big Ten championship. That's kind of what my next hope is. So, because I think they're going to be there. I just don't want to go back to what we were saying, because now you got me all thinking, like my heart's starting to go with the Iowa stuff. So
I wonder how long Penn State is going to put up with James Franklin. He does a great job with recruiting. Like his recruiting rankings are always up there. They are super talented, but what's his record against like ranked teams on the road? Like, it's just.
Yeah, but you have to take into the fact that he has to play Michigan and Ohio State every year.
But they're Penn State. That shouldn't matter.
Right.
I know.
The point is they haven't beat a ranked team, right? They haven't even beaten Iowa or somebody when they're ranked with Franklin. So,
I think he's something like.
Ari is spot on. I laughed my butt off.
Right.
I saw that. I was watching a different game, but the game I was watching, I don't remember which one it was. It went to that, and it literally went back to show that they went for two. Like, it literally showed that, it was almost like they're like, Franklin's an idiot. Look what he did. Without saying that, it went and showed them going for two, and now they're down by 2 scores.
Could the OC got fired just for that reason? Like, you dumb idiot.
Well, the OC don't make that call.
He doesn't?
The coach makes that call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The head coach says whether you're going for 1 or 2. The OC just calls the play for the situation.
Okay.
By the way,
here's a South Bend did a little more homework for us.
There we go. Yep. See, and I brought that up earlier, South Bend, that they were booing their offense, the Penn State fans.
So, Paul, could you hear it through the TV? Is that
clear as day. They weren't yelling "Coop."
They do that every time. If Coop would have scored a touchdown, that stadium would have blew up.
It would have.
Out there for a punt return. It is allowed.
They were scared to death of Cooper DeJean. They didn't want to throw his way. They didn't want to punt the football to him.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny is when Brown got that fly sweep, and the announcer said that the whole stadium was yelling, "Coop, Coop." I go, that wasn't Coop.
Well, my son thought the same thing. My son said that. I said, was he white or black? Then he was like, "Oh yeah, it was Brown. Never mind." Because that was actually
white or black. He was brown.
Yeah, and the fact that he was wearing his normal number 3 told us everything we needed to know. Coop wasn't coming on offense.
No.
Right. Yeah. And he was, he was so bored. Did you see him catch that? He got his talking to, but he caught a punt with 5 guys around him, and he took off running. It was right in front of us. And
is that where he took off running and got about a yard and they all dropped him?
Oh yeah, there was 5 guys around him. He wasn't going to fair catch it. He was getting frustrated.
I know it. I mean, they did not give him any room to run yesterday.
I mean, that's smart, right?
They were punting it out of bounds. I mean, he was getting the Timmy Dwight treatment, wasn't he?
He was. The only difference is he doesn't get that chance to go out there and run around and get a ball.
Right.
Should have ran him one time on the fly sweep, something. But no, I found it. Everybody around me was laughing because we all wanted to see Coop get the ball and run. And that one time he had 5 guys around him, right? They just kept kicking it high and then letting it come down, and everybody was around him. So there's nothing Coop could do.
By the way, I just want to say it's nice for Iowa not to be in the headlines of the coaching, whatever madness, between, the events of a few years ago and that stuff, all the way up to Brian and his contract and the drive to 325 and all of that stuff. Now with Harbaugh and Penn State firing their OC and whatever,
Yeah, we're not in it anymore. Everybody's going to happen. My job is I want to start something and get Brian back in charge of the offense. That's what I want. If they actually go on and let's just say they win the Big Ten, if something happens, you never know what could actually happen, right? They win the Big Ten championship. If they still fire Brian, I mean, the winningest coach in Iowa, with the winningest OC in Iowa history, and you still fire the guy and they win the Big Ten, I'll petition or something.
I brought this up in our chat. I wonder if Brian put on some film from 2003 when he was playing center and said, what would Ken O'Keefe do? Right? I saw a ton of Ken O'Keefe style play calls yesterday, from the bubble screens, the play action with the QB woggle, and the tight end stuff, and even the wide open tight end pass. That was classic Ken O'Keefe. That looked like
the Ramona Joa fly sweeps.
Right. I saw a lot of Ken O'Keefe in Iowa's play calling yesterday. That maybe it's just me.
Yeah, Ari, I agree with you.
So, this reminds me of something, because on Ari's comment here, Eric's comment, all over Facebook today, people are commenting, and everybody's got inside knowledge that Brian's coming back in a different role next year. And I just don't, all of a sudden everybody knows everything, and then somebody else is saying, I got inside scoop, Kirk is done after this year. I got it. You guys can mark it. And it's just like these stupid people.
The only person, Brian may know the truth about Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk knows the truth about Kirk, I'm sure. I'm sure him and Mary have talked about it. I'm sure they probably talked about it with Brian.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to believe it. So I think Kirk comes back, because I want to see, and this is what I believe he wants to see also, is that he wants that schedule next year, right? Because I've heard some things about Kirk. He's not going to want to leave first of all, without the record for wins.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, he's not going to want to leave and then have Iowa go 4-8 next year and go, see, that's what it would have been if Kirk would have stayed too, right? Because of the competition, right? So Kirk's going to want to hear with this competition, because if Phil leaves, and if they bring, let's just say they can put together $10 million and get Mark Stoops. he's going to do the same thing Kirk did at Iowa. Yeah, you're going to see more offense, but you're not going to see as good of defense, right? Look what he's doing at Kentucky. The exact same thing. He's making $9 million a year, $2 million more than Kirk makes at Iowa, and he's doing less, right? His team at Kentucky is exactly like Iowa's. He's not going to come here and win the Big Ten. And he's got to be more of a coach, a developmental coach at Iowa. So that's what the Iowa fans don't understand. But I want him back next year. I know I'm with you, Dean. I've seen some dumb things. I've talked to some people on both sides. Mm-hmm. The truth is there are people in the house who believe this might be his last year. And there are people who are saying, no, he's always emotional, but some people don't understand that, right?
He's always emotional.
There's some people on one side who are taking his emotion as, oh, this is it, right? But then you got people who have been there with him for a very long time who know this is who he is.
Yeah.
He's emotional. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to that on-field interview yesterday where everybody got the rumor started that because they heard the word retirement in there, they took it out of context. So you guys saw that I posted the actual interview in context so that you guys could see that he is saying those are the things you talk about in retirement or off season, you know? And I can't believe people just took the word retirement and ran with it.
That's what they do. I mean, that's with everything. That's why I don't watch politics, because it's never what you hear somebody say when you actually hear the whole clip of something, right? It's nothing. Is there? Once they heard that, they're going to just spin it so they can make a story out of it, and
right.
Negative, right? I only talk, or I can't say only talk. That doesn't make sense. I only believe the people that are inside the building who know, right? But there are people on both sides of that issue. But they're the people who know Kirk the longest, who know he's always emotional. At this time of year with this kind of team, his son was just fired.
Right.
They just clinched a share, right? And maybe he thinks that it doesn't matter what he does, Brian's not going to come back. So, and he's probably not going to want to go through getting another damn OC, right, at his age. And at the end, when Brian's the winningest OC he's ever had with the same exact style of defense.
Right.
Think about that. The thing is with Brian, the reason why Brian wins more, it's not because of total yards. It's because if you go through his years, Brian's teams do not turn it over as much as other teams, which is why Iowa would lose, right? I mean, Phil Parker came in at 2012, and they didn't win in 2012. Matter of fact, they were 4-8. And Wood Davis as the offensive coordinator. And then 2013, they weren't very good. 2014, 7-5. Before 2015 came around. But then we went right back to normal in 2016, where they finished 8-5, 7-5. I mean,
I think it was 8. I think it was 8.
Okay.
We'll have to go back. I actually have the records here in my trusty book.
It was 8 because Iowa is one of 5 teams to have 8 wins every year since 2015.
Right.
So it had to be 8.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. So let's good job of to the fans for making Rutgers false start 6 times. Was that crowd pretty loud during that time?
That was amazing. And my son, who was at the Penn State game, and he sat in the same seats in the same area that we sat in this time. And we saw everything pretty much exactly the same. But he said the Penn State game in 2021, which actually got his his best friend's girlfriend hooked on Iowa football, and she's in the she goes to school with him. But his best friend's girlfriend, they got her hooked because of the Iowa fans. But it was so loud with the 6 false starts that, I mean, it was cool to see. But he was like, that's exactly what they did in the Penn State game.
Okay. You don't turn it over a lot when you don't pass the ball past 12.5 yards for the entire season. Who cares as long as it gets the job done, right?
I mean, right. That's why you punt the ball and you play good defense.
Right. Okay, so there's something I wanted to ask you about, and I forgot. Oh, shoot. Anyway, it'll come back to me later.
By the
Okay,
way,
let's play devil's advocate here, and let's say we go down to Illinois 14-0, no offense whatsoever. Do you still start a petition to bring back Brian? In 2017, after upsetting Ohio State, Nate Stanley and the offense, here's the rest of it, and the offense had their worst performance. Our only scores came on Josh Jackson's 2 pick sixes.
No, I already did a post about that. I'm talking about if they continue to improve. I said if they win the Big Ten championship. So that whole thing didn't make sense, South Bend, because I said if they win the Big Ten championship. If they do that, that means Hill's not doing his job, right? Hill is attached to Brian's hip. There's, like I was saying in that first quarter, there is no call Brian can make when Hill is throwing incomplete passes. He had open receivers and was missing them by a mile.
I think it'll be pretty special on Senior Day this coming Saturday. Let's send those boys out, a winner in Kinnick, and let's put Kirk a game ahead of Bo, right? I mean, that's pretty special.
For real.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Iowa with 11 win season, bring back Brian. Guys, we could get to 11 wins this year.
Definitely. We can get to
possibly 12.
Yeah, we can get to 12.
So.
Yeah. Cooper's a junior, so he's not going to have a senior day. Just because he's probably leaving at the end of the season for the NFL. Yeah. They don't typically do that, Yeah.
Because he's not gonna make that declaration
that early. Yeah.
The better question is, do we see Cooper in the bowl game?
Yeah.
Yes, you will.
I think Coop will play. I think Coop plays.
Yeah, that's who he is as a person.
He's a Hawkeye through and through.
And
he's
that's
not just there.
That's the thing we talk about when we talk about why does Nebraska continue to struggle and things like that, because we always talk about Iowa having a roster full of Iowa guys, Iowa first guys, not me first guys.
Yep. He could be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on.
Fire bath.
Yeah. We can't jump the gun. Like I said, well, to go back to what South Bend was trying to say, I mean, if that legit happens, then the firing is still reasonable, right?
Well, let's put it this way. She wouldn't be fired. She just won't get the job.
Yeah, good point. But go ahead, Paul.
I was hoping we could just change topics for just a moment. Did you all see George Kittle's touchdown today?
I did not. I was watching the women's game.
He caught it, and the Jaguar defender fell down on the play. Yeah. And from about the 10-yard line in, he literally walked from the 10-yard line, turned around, kind of looked and saw nobody was really even running after him. So he literally just
for a brief second.
You could almost hear in his head do-dum, do-dum, do-dum. He just moseyed in. It was,
well, I believe.
Well, can I ask you a question? Did the 49ers beat the Jags, or did the Jags win?
No,
the 49ers beat him like a drum.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was Iowa Penn State-esque.
They were trying to cut what number 33, a linebacker?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they were trying to cover Kittle with a linebacker. That's why he went 66 yards.
Right. And he's a good player. He's a young guy, a second-year player from Utah.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, George just burned him. And it was Purdy's longest touchdown pass of his career.
Yeah. Kittle had over 100 yards. The Jaguars offensive line got their ass kicked by the Niners defensive line. the Ohio State connection on the 49ers defensive line just destroyed the Jags.
And,
How many catches did Kittle have today?
Three.
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 And one of them was for 80 yards, right?
66.
Oh,
Yeah.
56? Okay.
60.
All right.
Luke O'Shea, no, he's not. It'll all depend on if he does actually make it back for the bowl game. That means he's not going pro, because right now he's working on just getting healthy. And if he can go full speed for the pro day or even get the invite to the combine, then he'll probably be gone.
Right.
But
they did say that he could be back in December sometime, but that doesn't mean he'd actually play.
yeah, they said like he can come back he could play if he really wanted to, probably, but he won't be 100%.
Right. Okay. Here, I'll go back to that comment I think you were laughing at earlier.
Oh yeah.
Where you
Brian's going pro. He's not going to go to another college.
I don't think Brian is doing anything a whole lot different. I think the team is just executing at a higher level.
It comes to Hill completing those passes.
Right.
I mean, like I said in the beginning of this video, there were wide open receivers the whole game, right? He started 1 for 6. And with wide open receivers, he could have finished that game 29 of 31 passing instead of 20 of 31. Like it's not on Brian. He just needs a QB.
On the play action where we hit the tight end for the big play, 48. I don't even know who that guy is.
a freshman.
2 weeks ago, Deacon is overthrowing that by 20 yards.
Right. No, he was on, but sometimes players just have games, right? Peters did that to us how many times? To where he'd come out and have one game, and you're going, holy good Lord. I believe that's why I did that video with the Michigan game, because Peters looked good for the most part. But other than that,
who did the Titans have for a tight end that went to Iowa? I know who everybody else is on this list.
Hawkins.
the way you're talking about Zach Ortworth, Paul.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Hawkinson plays for the Vikings.
No, I'm talking about the Titans. He's
Oh.
got listed 49ers, Vikings, Lions, Seahawks. We know who those guys all are. But who's got who's playing with that for the Titans?
Did Atlanta? I thought Atlanta traded Parker.
Oh.
You remember the dude? Parker Hesse.
Oh, the lineman turned. Yeah.
Deanne turned tight end.
I don't know. But I heard Atlanta traded him, so he could have traded him to the Titans, but I don't know who's with him.
The only Titan player that I know that played at Iowa is the safety.
Oh yeah. Gino.
No, not
Gino's
Gino.
in Baltimore. The other one.
Ari says it's Parker Hesse, so you guys guessed right.
It's the one who intercepted the pass against Ohio
State. Yep. Yeah, on the first play, yeah.
Amani Hooker.
Yeah, Amani Hooker, yeah.
All right. Are we going to do our picks?
Let's do our picks, and then we can get out of here. Because I know we're going a lot longer than we had, but we were kind of having fun, so I didn't want to cut it off.
Well, we were talking before the show. It's been a big, 4 or 5 days for Iowa with women's basketball, men's basketball, football, the soccer team, like the whole deal.
I can't wait to see White Chocolate #2 just go. I love Iowa's point guard. The freshman. You guys know Jason Williams?
Yeah.
Okay. You know how he had white boy tattooed across his knuckles? They called him White Chocolate.
Yeah.
That's who this dude reminds me of, Jason Williams. Did you see some of his passes? Were you able to watch the game?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that was fun. That no-look alley-oop pass was like, when's the last?
Wasn't that to his high school teammate or something?
Yep. Their high school today. Geez, I wonder why they won the state title.
Right.
Good Lord.
Okay, guys. I'm gonna have to private message you guys because we've got a basketball game Tuesday night, and I was counting on doing our preview of the Illinois game on Tuesday because I'm not available all on Wednesday.
Well, Tuesday night the game starts at 9 my time, so that'd be 7 your time.
Okay, so we could actually do it Tuesday night.
It's 9:00 Central. You're not gonna be able to watch it, Paul.
Oh, well, the good news is Wednesday morning I have to get up, or I'm going into work late because I have to get blood work done and have to be fasting. So I'll do my best to stay. I mean, it's a big one. It's a
7 o'clock Central on Tuesday then, right, guys? Just to let these guys know that we're going to go on Tuesday night this week.
No, it's 9:00 Central, 7:00 Pacific.
No, I meant for us. We can go on before the game.
Oh yeah, we can go on before the game.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
I don't know if we can hang with Creighton. I'm excited to find out because Iowa basketball is actually better. I'm watching better product than what I thought I would. I really am. The freshmen are so exciting to watch. I mean, they're just fun. I don't know. I'm just having so much fun with them.
You know, it's nice. I'm pretty sure the team, the sum is better than the parts right now. You know, or we don't have that superstar. We don't have a Murray. We don't have, a Garza. So, but what we do have is a bunch of guys who are playing their role, and it's fun to watch.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. Speaking of the Murrays, they played against each other a couple of nights ago.
I didn't know that.
And I don't know if Chris is getting any playing time or not, because his dad made a comment that things were going well for Keegan and Chris's time will come. So I wondered if he even got off the bench and played. I would have loved to watch that game had I known they were playing.
No, he did. He blocked. His first block shot of his career is blocking Keegan. It was hilarious. He was
cool.
He was guarding Keegan. It was almost like he's seen that shot 100 times because he knew right where to go to block that shot. No, it was a good. Keegan won, but it was fun. Yeah. But hey, Ari, I think was it Ari who asked about the basketball? Go to if you guys want to see the highlights of the game, or if you want to watch like a 20 minutes of the game. Go to Matthew Loves Ball on YouTube.
Okay.
And then search Iowa. Who they play last? Or go
Alabama State.
Minnesota and Iowa, Alabama State. So search for both those games on Matthew Loves Ball YouTube channel, and you'll get to see 20 minutes of the game. I mean, that's the best way to watch it if you don't have time. Okay. Like if I don't have time, I'll watch his Matthew Loves Balls on the other games. He just he does. You know what I mean? Damn it. He does every sport, and he even does like FCS football. Like I don't know how he does it. Like he just does it continually.
Just to be clear, guys, nobody visit MatthewLovesBalls.com.
Yes.
That will not take you to where we're talking.
I've had two moments tonight. My son's boyfriend instead of my son. And then I
thought maybe you were outing him for us.
No. It was a friend's girlfriend who went with him that night. But yeah, no, he's not. He's 100% dude.
Yes.
Harry, he likes that channel too. He wants you to know.
Okay.
We should get to the picks because I'm getting delirious here.
All right. It sounds good. All right. Okay. Here we go, guys.
He keeps hitting them out of the park.
Jason lost 3 this week. You lost Penn State, you lost Wisconsin, and you lost Minnesota. Paul, you lost 4.
Oof.
You lost Nebraska, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
That's because we picked teams that with the common sense that would probably win.
Yeah. I also lost 3, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. So with Jason and I both had 6-3 records this week. Jason, I'm 1 game ahead of you at 61-25. You're at 60-26. Paul, you're 5-4, and you've fallen behind 57-29.
I was going to say 57 and 50. Good
Mhm.
Lord.
Yeah. Okay, that's where we're at. And I'll pick some great games for Tuesday night show.
Okay.
It'll be a lot of fun. I think tonight this show was rather fun, guys. I appreciate everybody's participation. You guys keep us on our toes, and you make us laugh. You guys are funny sometimes.
It's getting more and more fun the more people that keep joining in and commenting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Jared, we are definitely looking forward to the wrestling show coming up. So
Oh yeah.
I
won't be on that.
texted Jared privately. I'm asking him if we can do it tomorrow night. I don't know. I haven't looked to see if he responded.
Did you see what Ari said though about Chris?
Yeah.
it was almost 7 minutes a game.
He's averaging almost 7 points a game.
7
No,
minutes.
6-7 minutes a game.
Minutes. Well, I'm on my phone and I'm blind as a bat.
Ah,
I could see it now though. Now that you see it. So he's averaging almost 7 minutes a game. So he is playing. And he got to block his brother's shot. So
Okay.
he could still have a good Thanksgiving dinner at the table.
Paul, do you want to join us on the wrestling show tomorrow night?
I don't think I'll be able to.
Okay. I just thought I'd throw it out there. I know you're a big wrestling fan, and I wanted to.
I will definitely look forward to watching it.
Okay.
I just don't know if I'll be able to make it on tomorrow.
Guys, there'll be everybody's watching right now. We are going to have a wrestling preview tomorrow night. Time to be determined. I'm going to work that out with Jared. And so, okay, guys, let's get out of here.
All right. Bye, Terry.
Bye, Terry.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
All
Maybe.
right.
If I can get out.